We're so excited to have Scott on the show with us.
This guy's connected with music. He's connected with business. He's connected with NIL.
See, I read his
and
whole
barbecue.
I read his whole background, and I'm like, I have to hang out with this guy. I was like, this is
why is it the only way we get you to hang out with us is have you on the show?
This is my guy right here. Music is huge to me and my family. And I know that you, like, when you started Gigg, it was about music promotion and all that.
That's the reason.
And then you've expanded and done a lot of things, but you love music, you love sports, you're big time involved with BYU, founder of Gigg, the corporation that is involved in all of that.
Nice.
Right, there it is.
Is that even going to fit over his guns?
So I brought 2 larges, but Dave told me that I should probably bring a medium because you're proud of your guns.
Oh, man. He's always like,
trust me, he loves
when are you
wearing
going to stop
those
wearing your
tight
daughter's
shirts.
So, no.
You're in good shape, man.
When you've got 27-inch biceps, there's nothing you can do.
Really nothing. That's why I
Oh.
keep mine smaller so I can fit in on my shirts.
That's pretty
That's
awesome.
not the case.
That's pretty awesome, though.
If you have a question for Scott, chime in our live stream.
We're excited because Scott's an expert and been really involved in this whole NIL thing. And we've been talking about having you on for a couple of weeks because people have had so many questions about this. And I know you're passionate about it. You understand it better than most. You've been involved in it. And then David and I, we've got to get him on the show and talk about it. And we want to talk about your background too and all this stuff. And tell me if I'm right on this. The name originally was, like, when you're in a band or something. I used to be in a band in the old days. Like, hey, do you have a gig this weekend?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, we have a gig on Saturday night up at Lagoon. We've got this or we've got that. That's how you started that, right?
That's right. And the thing is so cool about the name, and the reason I went hunting for it big time, it's a crazy story how we ended up getting the name, but the word gig has evolved. So it was like a show back in the day, but now it's used universally. It's like, what's your gig? Or what's his gig these days? Or then also the gigabyte when it comes to technology, and it's a perfect fit, man. So we love the name. The brand turned out really, really well.
When you first, was it always GIGG or was it So it was always GIGG.
It was always GIGG, and I think that just gives it a little more character. It's kind of more brandable.
There's already a question about your favorite cereal. We're going to get to that. Hang on with us.
You knew that was coming.
We got a whole cereal thing coming up here in just a bit.
And then I want everyone to tell me whether we go. Should I go black with a white lettering?
Just save me one of the 3 shirts. That's all.
Or do I go?
This is the medium.
That's the medium.
You look good. You look good.
You might have to put that on.
I might have to.
Actually, this is the large. This is
there. You go.
So
do I go with the yellow? Do I go with the yellow? We appreciate that.
Yeah. Hey, let's dive into this. BYU Heisman Trophy winner Ty Detmer told us as a high school coach, the portal is killing the patience and development kids need so badly. The desire to play and get paid has changed the game. He sees fewer G5 schools coming to his school to recruit kids because they can go to the portal and get quick fixes. And we've talked about the portal quite a bit. Yeah. NIL is a whole nother thing.
It'll change everything.
So your company puts $250,000 into BYU's Built for Life program. Why did you do that? And then we're going to follow the process so that folks can. We've heard from the schools going, "Hey, we have an NIL program. It's great for the athletes." But how is that great for the athletes, and how is it great for your business? So you decide, I got $250,000. I want to be a part of this. What's the motivation to get in?
So let me give a little background on Gigg to start, just because then it'll make more sense. So when we first started it, again, like Blaine mentioned, it was meant for the music industry and to help both mainstream artists and aspiring artists be more effective in branding themselves, getting the word out about, whether it's a new single, a new album, an upcoming tour, and so on. And so the tools that we created at Gigg were meant to build brands. And it would help these artists become more aware of their target audience or demographic.
We're talking big bands.
Like some of the bands, Maroon 5.
Yeah.
Imagine Dragons. Like tell folks some of the bands that you've worked with and some.
We've worked with some incredible bands. It's pretty amazing. So, I mean, Imagine Dragons, Maroon 5, Bruno Mars, Carrie Underwood.
Tim McGraw. Who could AC/DC could use some help.
That's one of my favorite bands.
But Tim McGraw was just in town.
He is AC/DC. He is AC/DC.
Whatever you've done with Tim McGraw's worked out for him. He was pretty happy.
He was on his way when we worked. He was more doing us a favor than anything else. But anyway, a lot of incredible bands of all genres. And I have to ask you boys, what's your favorite genre? You always can learn so much about
DJ,
an individual.
DJ's
Here we
just
go.
like
Right?
DJ's just
Here we go.
nodding his head over there.
Right, man. The genre of music
Because
that people listen to.
He knows. I grew up in New York.
Okay.
Playing sports and music in New York.
Okay.
So of course I'm like my main genre is hip hop.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
My man.
Isn't that like people?
No, hip hop is it's one of the most popular, if not the most popular genres. And
How does that make him your man? Hip hop.
I love hip hop. Believe it or not, like what we should do is talk about the artists that you're really into. A lot of the new age hip hop artists, I'm not in love with.
Listen, you get into his art, it's a whole nother show. It's a whole nother show.
I'm kind of eclectic, but like I always feel like, okay, let's get to know each other. Here's my workout jams.
Oh
right?
no, he did. Black Eyed Peas, Blackstreet, No Diggity. We got. I mean, that's a classic. Let's see, DJ Khaled, Earth, Wind and Fire. These are all great. I don't know if these are necessarily hip hop, but the Flow Rider,
right?
Genuine. There's a lot of R&B in here. Here we go. Jay-Z, Justin Bieber.
Yeah, I
cute,
like
Beebs.
the Beebs. I throw him in
He's
there.
He's getting better.
I throw him in there.
Montel Jordan.
He's got a future.
Outkast, a lot of Outkast. Usher, Van Halen. One of the greatest songs.
See, I do go to some rock and roll once in a while as a break.
Come back to your
Dua
base.
Lipa. Hey, this guy's got style. He knows what he's doing here. I'm impressed.
So it's like, and I can show you my car jams list, but it's just like when you want to get to know somebody, you sit down and you go, hey, let's look at each other's phone. I want to see your playlist.
For sure.
And you can know a lot about somebody.
You learn a lot about someone with the music they listen to. But the fact that you like AC/DC, Dave, we're best friends. I'm a huge AC/DC fan. I saw their last big show at Dodger Stadium in LA a couple years back.
All right, hand him that playlist.
Okay,
all right.
This is.
So I like classic rock, but I'm all over the place. But that's my main rotation right there.
NXS. I got respect. Queen and David Bowie, Flock of Seagulls. Come on, Brian Ferry, New Order. New Order is so good. I much respect. Good stuff.
Is that
good stuff?
Except
I know,
for here,
it doesn't make me your man, but
if I read his playlist, I think he's 71 years old.
Now, with that being said about what we were doing with artists, brands and businesses wanted to be a part of it. So a lot of these bands that we were working with, big name brands wanted to be associated with a lot of the campaigns that we do. And because what Gigg does is it drives, huge engagement online, a lot of social media stuff. So when then I started thinking to myself, this works for sports. So I started working with some professional athletes, did some stuff with a few of the Dodgers, then the NIL. Mm-hmm. The NIL, I had known that it was happening in just a matter of time, and was waiting for it. And I knew when it would initially be, put in place and athletes could start making money, it would be the wild, wild west. I mean, there is still so much that needs to be figured out. There's still so much that's okay that I guarantee will not be okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Over time. There's going to be regulations put on it, but right now you got to jump into it while it's hot. And so the reason that our company, to answer your question, Dave, got involved with BYU was, number one, I'm a huge BYU fan.
Right.
Number two, BYU always impresses when it comes to being forward thinking. They paved the way in so many different ways. I mean, I was sitting down with some of the head dudes over there at Cal, Cal Berkeley and the athletic department, and everyone talks about that first big deal that Built Bar did. Oh, it kind of set the stage, right? It created jealousy, it created inspiration,
and it took
created
care
questions,
of the walk-ons.
right?
It was like, wow.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean,
it branded BYU as, man, in something that we think is going to be the wild, wild west where everybody's going to go nuts.
Right.
And eventually somebody like, let's say, Miami gives a quarterback $9.5 million. In that world, that's not hypothetical, by the way, it just happened. But in that world, BYU leads out and does the right thing.
That's right.
And who knows what happens from here, but I feel like for Built Bar, it was great for their brand, that this is a company that does the right thing. For BYU, it was, this is a university that does the right. It doesn't matter what happens from this point forward. They let out and did the right thing. Am I wrong?
They did. They did the right thing. And I'll tell you, Built Bar, I mean, based on some of the numbers and metrics that we looked at, they probably got $15 to $20 million worth of advertising.
Oh, wow.
Right. Yeah, Sports Center, it was everywhere.
It was everywhere, and it set the stage in a lot of cases. But as I've spent time with different universities and some of the athletic departments, that's referenced quite a bit. I always get asked, how are you involved? Do you work with Nick Greer over there at Bill? Nick was brilliant in the move that he made with all that. But again, still so early. Yeah. We're going to see some pretty incredible things. It's going to shift a lot of how, Ty in some cases is right. But at the same time, there's still opportunity there. Everyone has opportunities, and one of the things that I'm so excited, and I've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with these student athletes, there has never been a time in the history of college sports where athletes have a chance to build and strengthen their voice, to go and to build their brand and to create monetary or different opportunities in the business space. Not only just in college. I mean, a lot of these kids aren't going to go on to play professionally.
Most aren't.
Most aren't, right? There's a stat around. I don't know.
It's crazy.
But it's crazy, the numbers.
When my kids were little and we would do the Little League thing, and I would always tell the parents, chances are none of my kids or your kids included are ever going to play Division I football, and even fewer, like it's less than 1%, are ever going to play in a professional sport. So why don't we just learn the sport and have a good time, right?
That's right.
Why not enjoy it and have a good time? But it's very few are going to make it. But some of these ones that are come through the college program now, even good players don't make it in the NFL or in the NBA.
Yeah.
But they have an opportunity now to maybe set themselves up to have some residual income moving forward because of their time at the university representing the university, right?
That's absolutely right. And you know what? What I think is going to be what people are going to figure out quickly, and I'm talking about businesses and brands, you don't have to go and align with, in terms of BYU, a Jaron Hall. Jaron's decent at social media. Mm-hmm. There's actually a lot better when it comes to
interesting,
right? Yeah. But Jaron is, he's well known. He's the quarterback at BYU. But I'm telling you, there are some incredible content creators inside of all BYU sports that are just as powerful and then some than, the star athletes that everyone hears about, on ESPN or whatever. And so, one of our most successful campaigns was with BYU women's basketball.
Yes.
Those girls, they were incredible. I don't know if you guys saw the campaign.
TikTok videos.
Yeah, they were so
dancing,
good.
And they were so good.
Those girls were a crack up, and I'll tell you what, they did the quickest, promo video. They were just, it's like they're pro actresses. They all just knew exactly what we were doing. Don't get me talking about some of the linebackers at BYU. They might. Max Tooley, we love you, bro.
We'll deal with that later.
Yeah, I thought Chaz was going to knock Max Tooley out because Max could not remember his lines, man. We were having so much fun. But what I'm getting at is the NIL space is wide open, and to all athletes, calling all athletes everywhere. I'm talking from when you first start using social media, and I have thoughts on that. I think 16 years old is when kids should get into social media, and even then, it's a dangerous time. Right. However, athletes, build your brand. You need to have your face and name on all four of the big ones, all the four big ones: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You need to be there. Align all your social handles. Make sure that they're all consistent. That is a huge, huge deal for you as you build your brand. And get yourself out there. And you are more than just an athlete. You are more than just an athlete. So tell the world who you are. Bring some good out there. Tell your story. It's funny, Dave, you might be able to answer some of these things because we're back and forth. We banter all the time about, it's already asked, the question's been asked. But I like to teach, influencers, celebrities, business owners, athletes, NIL. There are 5 things that represent you to the core. 5 things. We already know that you're great on TV and sport. You guys know your stuff. Like, we know that you guys are great when it comes to understanding sports, and you're great in front of a camera. You got rock star voices. But what else do you got? What else do you represent outside of what everyone knows? Blaine, right? We already know, Blaine, what you got as far as this situation. Well, what else do you have to offer the world? So I remember I was talking to Austin Colley. He was in my office. Austin, what's up, man? Anyway, I'm going to use you as an example, so forgive me if
Oh, by the way, Austin, I'm going to text you after the show because we need you to come on the show. But there you go.
Austin, you should come on the show with these guys. but Austin, you look at his social media, he's a football player, right? He's got awesome stuff. He's a stinking San Francisco Giants fan, so we won't go there. Oh, but
that's a shame.
But when Austin and I were talking, I was looking at his social media, and he doesn't really care to dive heavily into social media, but he's a football player, and everyone knows it.
Yeah.
It's a different day and age. With the NIL space, you want to make an effort to share who it is that you are. We already know you're an athlete, but what else do you have to offer? Do you enjoy fashion? Okay. Do you like cereal? What's your guilty pleasure? You know, ice cream on the couch and your sweats at night, you know? Are you a movie buff? Do you like travel? Are you a foodie? Do you like to cook? Are you a chef? What else do you have to offer the world outside of what everyone knows you to be?
Yeah.
You know, everyone knows that Russell Westbrook is a fashionista. And a lot of the deals that he gets is based on the fact that he is a fashionista and how he approaches social media. And so, you know, and I'm an entrepreneur, and because I started talking about the cereal I eat before bed every night, I get truckloads of cereal sent to me.
We're going to go
I
there.
don't get any trucks sent to me. I have to go get mine.
Yeah.
Hey,
but we're going to work on that.
You need to coach us up because this is all we do. And we don't know how to do this stuff. But this is what his company does.
When Gigg buys in to BYU, what do you get?
So you know, the truth of the matter is I think that we didn't really know what we were going to get, but we knew we were focused on figuring out what we were going to get. I guess, you know, I worked with a lot of the guys over there, and they were great, and still we're all learning, right? I think what it did was they opened the Rolodex to all the athletes, and the truth is I had connections with most of the athletes anyways, but regardless, like.
But they say you can contact anybody.
Yeah, I mean, they would open the Rolodex in the event that I wanted to reach out to anyone. Okay. I think what it did do for me is businesses started seeing some of these campaigns that we were running because BYU was pushing it out there. And some of the relationships that BYU has with different, you know, corporate sponsors and so on would reach out and look for, you know, ways to capitalize on their working relationship with BYU, and knew that Gigg. We provide tools to help, you know, create more value in partnerships between, you know, school and corporate sponsor or athlete and sponsor. Our tools help reach millions of people. We just finished a global campaign with Imagine Dragons, or Bethany Hamilton was most recent. You know, Bethany Hamilton, she's the Soul Surfer girl that lost her arm, you know, to a shark. But she ran a campaign on Gigg, letting people from all over the world share a one-arm talent. So the invite that she extended was, hey, you know, I've had to learn to do a lot of things on my own, and you know, I have talents, one arm. I want to see your talents. So Spry Gum or Clear, they're focused on videos that make you smile. So Bethany Hamilton sends out a call to action to all her fans. She's got millions and millions of followers to you know, share a one-arm video, you know, of their talent. And so all this content that's coming in, Bethany benefits from, and Spry Gum. So videos that make you smile. So we were able to get Bethany paid a hefty check, and you know, Spry got huge reach, millions. Yeah. So now you think in terms of Bethany Hamilton, she's Bethany Hamilton, but then you got, you know, Peyton Wilgar.
Right. Take Peyton.
Right.
And what everybody knows he's a football player, right. But what you're going to do with what you do with Peyton is you help him, if I'm understanding this right, to show all these different aspects of Peyton that people don't know.
Yes.
And it creates interest in him, and it creates a following.
Right.
You help him grow his social media.
That's right.
And from that, at some point, he can either get a sponsor or he can monetize that. He can do, so all of a sudden, he has a revenue stream or an income stream.
That's right.
Because people are so interested in who Peyton is, they want to hang with him on social
media.
And
Gigg then has Peyton's face.
We have Peyton's face, and we also have his reach and following.
Right.
So the beauty for us and what we're focused on the data and understanding customers and fans. I mean, guys, we with these different BYU campaigns that we've run about 15 over the course of the time, you know, since we started Gigg. We have over 500,000 emails to BYU fans globally.
Wow.
What is that? What's the value?
Yeah. What is the value of that?
Right.
Right.
Well, we're working on. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this, so forgive me if I'm talking too fast about this, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
I'm sorry.
Hang with us, Gary.
Yeah, but we're working on a bobblehead deal, right? And with some of the boys that play on the team currently, and then with some of the legacy players, you know. And we can send an email out, right, to all these BYU fans and invite them to buy one of these bobbleheads. And guess what? These boys that are out on the field right now, they're going to take a cut.
Yeah, and they should, right?
They should.
So when we talk about NIL, the thing that always comes to me, Scott, is I think, oh man, was Jimmerford ever too early?
Oh,
because I can't even imagine what Jimmer could have done in terms of monetizing all the NIL deals.
Millions. Jimmer, bro, you would have made $10 to $20 million your senior year. I'm not kidding.
I called a lot of the games. That year I was on the NBC contract, and so I was doing the Mountain West Game of the Week.
Yeah.
And did the championship with he and Kawhi. It was like, and I've been doing this a long time, it was like covering a rock star.
Oh, for sure.
That
San Diego State game.
Oh, yeah.
At night. Gosh. We're down doing interviews, and the security are holding people off, and I'm like, am I traveling with the Beatles? Like, what is going on?
Oh, man.
It was nuts. And now
Isn't that fun?
I look in the rearview mirror, one of the most fun years of broadcasting I've ever had. Dave and I covered him a bunch that year as well at BYU TV.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I think, NIL, Jimmer, oh my goodness, right?
Right.
10 to 20 million, Scott's saying.
So a kid comes in, is going to hook up with you.
Yes.
Who determines how much they get paid?
Great question.
And who pays them? Does BYU pay them through their NIL office?
No.
Or is it just...
BYU has to stay out of it.
Okay.
So most schools, pretty much all schools, they cannot facilitate deals. So a lot of times they're going to use, third parties. There's all sorts of third party companies. I mean, locally there's Encore. What's the other one called? Carl runs it. Stud with Wallaroo. My buddy Brandon over at Wallaroo. Gosh, I'm sorry guys, I can't remember. Ohana.
Oh yeah.
Ohana X. Then there's global one, or excuse me, not global, but national ones. There's Influencer, and then there's, there's a bunch of them. They're all over the place. The moral of the story is the school or the institution cannot participate in facilitating any deal or being a part of the contract. They can open doors, but they have to stand. They cannot be involved.
So you can decide how much you're going to pay somebody. So this kid who gets $9 million to go to Miami or Ohio State or wherever.
And I don't know if you followed that deal, Scott, but a quarterback. He's a high school quarterback.
Yeah.
Gets a $9.5 million deal, allegedly reported, from Miami. And his agent, so to speak, is saying, well, he turned down an $11 million deal at Florida because he liked the coaches better at Miami, making it sound like, oh, this is a football decision. Really? $9.5 million. So how did they determine that value? Because is that kid really going to bring him $9.5 million?
And what does that do to the other NIL values that you deal with all the way over here?
Again, I think, kind of reminds me of the crypto market, and, rest in peace crypto as of late, but it's going to come back. But if you look at all the hype and excitement, people are all wanting to get into it, tons of money thrown in. It's going to level out. It's going to plateau. A lot of lessons being learned. I can already tell you companies that regret some of the money they put into some of the bigger athletes out there. But at least they were willing to try and run the risk or see how it goes. The problem is a lot of these brands and businesses that are wanting to align with these athletes, they're not really sure how the working relationship is going to look. A lot of times they're like, here's a swag, wear it, or post about it on social media, or
come walk through our store.
Yeah, come walk through our store, or wear our stuff around. That's good, but it's not what they could be doing. There's even bigger and better opportunities out there. Here's the other thing, guys. Let's talk to the athletes for a second. If you're a student athlete and let's say that you're a swimmer, okay? You are an awesome swimmer, and everyone knows you're a swimmer, so you're gonna get hit up by brands, especially if you're a big time swimmer, and you're gonna be hit up with Speedos or goggles or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if you on social media have built a presence for yourself and you speak to you're a shoe guy or gal, right? You love shoes, or you love fashion, or you love toothpaste, a certain kind of toothpaste. I'm just throwing gum, right? These athletes that figure out that when they're posting something and they can involve a brand or speak to something, you are setting the stage for what comes next. So if you're in high school right now, start tagging. Like if I was in high school, you know this, Dave. I'm tagging General Mills, I'm tagging Frosted Flakes, I'm tagging Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So they keep an eye on you, and it's only going to become the case even more so. So as you're an athlete and you're making the way, making your way up to deciding on what campus which college you want to go to, businesses and brands are watching closely what you're all about. So you high school kids, you are setting the stage for what comes next. But the more that you can focus outside of the sport that you're playing
for, right?
Yeah. Like who was I talking to? Lucas. I always want to call him Lucas. You call him by the last name. Who's our basketball player?
T-John Lucas.
Yes, T-John. Bro, I apologize, T-John. I know. So we were in meeting with all the basketball team, and he's like, you know what I love, you guys? I love Charmin toilet paper. I'm like, there you go. What are you gonna do? You can't post pictures, in the bathroom, whatever. What can you talk about? I mean, Charmin's probably not thinking about an NIL deal, but I'll tell you right now, they would love to be thinking about an NIL deal. They would love to latch onto an athlete that has a decent reach that,
Right.
Right.
And you're like, am I reading this wrong or interpreting this wrong? You're saying that like what you guys do is you help people run with their passions and get those passions out there, and that someone that's not as visible in their sporting position. So if you're not Luke Staley or Zach Wilson, you may have just as much value as Zach Wilson if you have other things that you're really interested in that are unique.
That's right.
And that people are going to go, oh, that's a really cool thing. That's really cool that they're interested in it. I mean, we see it all the time. We have lots of influencers here, right here in the Valley that that aren't big time athletes that have 3 million followers on Instagram and are monetizing all that. And so you help these athletes figure out what they're passionate about, how to go down multiple roads so that they can brand themselves, and they're not just an athlete. They have this social media presence, and then they can monetize that and get cash
That's
back.
right.
That's exactly what you guys do, right?
That is what we do. So another story, Caleb Lohner, we did a competition with him, and it was a wakeboarding highlight competition. So Caleb gets on, and he says, hey, guys, I want to see your water tricks. Show us your highlights, out on the water, for a chance to meet up with me and Blake Murray, who's one of the greatest wakeboarders of all time. We'll fly you in, and we'll spend a day on the water with you. And Caleb's a big wakeboarder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's not just a basketball player, right?
He's a crazy, he's a freak.
He's a freak athlete. Why'd you go to Baylor, dude? Anyway.
Well, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah. You guys want to talk about that right now? Yeah. Anyway, so but yeah, that is in many cases what we try and do. So we look for ways to capitalize, to help the student athlete capitalize in really unique ways.
And then you capitalize on their capitalization.
That's right.
So
everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Are there any rules?
That's the big question.
Yes, there are rules.
There are rules?
There are rules.
And who tells you what the rules are? Because it seems like the NCAA said, you know what? Why don't all you schools figure it out?
We'll let the state laws govern it, right?
Yeah, there are state laws. That's right. So, but Gary is, the guy that keeps me in line with BYU specifically.
Yeah.
And I have gotten in trouble 3 or 4 times. But I'm learning, right?
But how do you know?
So yeah, exactly.
So you're talking about Gary from compliance.
Yeah, I'm talking about Gary. Yeah,
who's
Gary,
an attorney.
Yeah, he was an attorney, and he's great, And look, these universities, they're learning too, right? And they're getting their hands slapped, and who even knows who's slapping their hands? But the regulations, they're coming, but they're still, it's better to what is it?
You push the envelope while you can.
Yeah, push the envelope while you can.
Step back a little bit, then you step back.
That's right.
And do you think, Scott, that at some point the NCAA or the federal or state governments are going to go, whoa, okay, we've lost a little bit of control of this. We got to gather this thing back in. That's going to happen.
That without question. And I don't think it's going to close the door on big opportunities for student athletes. They just want a little more structure because things could get out of hand, and there could be there are some big concerns around this new opening, the NIL space. And some of the I still think this UCLA USC deal, it's solely money, and they know the NIL. It's like if you have a brain, they're making moves for money. And they're smart. I get it. Like every school, the more money you have, the more opportunity you create. And so, but I also think this is a massive opportunity for BYU.
Right.
And that's and another reason, going back to your original question, I would love to create new ways to excite players. I'm always tweeting at these. Every year I look for the top 100 blue chips in all the sports, the big sports, and I follow them.
Yeah.
And I try and, get to know them. I mean, I'm silently recruiting, but not really. But I always am like, I'll joke with like, hey, Bam Bam's on us, on me for a year, 2 years, for life if you come. just joking around, but not really. I'm kind of being serious too. Right. But you can do that.
I
can do it.
Yeah.
I can do it. So these athletes, they are aware that there are opportunities for money making wherever they go. And so these athletic programs are wise to align with businesses that are looking to align with student athletes. And so,
but they will do it in the right way.
They'll do it
really put them at risk, right?
That's right. They can never do it and put them at risk. And that's the other thing. Like, I know Gary is making sure, and this is props to Gary. Gary's making sure that everything is done correctly, because I know he wants to pioneer and pave the way. And the whole I know Tom is focused on it as well. They want to do things ethically and the right way, but they also want to set the precedence for the rest of the country.
Can BYU, I know all of our followers and people that watch the show and download it, they want to know if BYU can compete in the Big 12 from an NIL perspective. So can they compete with Oklahoma State and with Baylor and these schools from an NIL perspective? And can they compete on a national level?
Yes, and more yes. And it's only going to become more the case as time goes on, mark my words.
So you think BYU can be the leader in this space?
For sure.
They shouldn't be afraid that Miami is giving a guy $9.5 million.
But BYU's never going to give a guy $9 million. That's just not how they're going to do it.
Well, it's not BYU giving it. BYU doesn't give anything to them. BYU opens doors for them.
Yeah.
The better question is, it really comes down to the athletes and their reach. So athletes' value goes up as we get more time on TV, or TV time's big. The ESPN deal, it's big. These different stations or news stations or stories. These athletes. So the Jimmer craze. Jimmer would have made more money than any other student athlete, I believe, that year. I don't know.
I think you're right.
Right. I mean, he was. Everyone was talking
wanted
about
a piece of Jimmer.
Yeah. So, and I think this Big 12 move with with BYU, it's going to open up even more doors. And a lot of these companies or brands that I'm working with, they are wanting to align with student athletes. They are wanting. I just met with a company today, a pizza company. Mm-hmm. You know what they want? They want student athletes. They want student athletes that can get in front of their following on social media and get them to order a pizza.
Why don't they want podcast hosts?
Yeah,
you guys just
live streamers.
We don't know what
just
we're
pass
doing.
this by.
No.
We got to talk.
Yeah, guys. Well, I'll do my best.
We've been
to help
working
you.
in television for 30 years, and we don't know what we're doing.
Scott
we
Warner
just sit in front of a camera.
is the CEO of Gigg.
1 million people watch us, so we don't make any money.
That's going to change. And
yeah, I can help. Boys, I can help with this. I can help with that.
So this has been great because this has allowed, I think, our followers and those who are going to listen to the podcast and all that stuff, the concept of that's how it works, as opposed to, yes, we have an NIL office and we're taking care of our players. Yeah. And I think it's just awesome that one, you'd come in with us and two, explain that everybody can win.
Yeah, everyone
here. And a lot of people think it's gonna kill college sports, but they also don't hear your perspective. So when you mix the perspectives, it's like, I can see how everyone can win here, and BYU can compete at a national level with all the big name schools. And it's not just the NIL deals why somebody chose to go to Texas as opposed to here. But getting that information out is important because most people don't know, and they think it's the Wild West with no rules. And Jerry Tarkanian, if he came back from the dead, would fit right into this whole operation.
And they think the university – so one of the clarifying points for everybody, I think, is the university doesn't run or make the deals, but they do monitor it. They have an attorney that's monitoring it to make sure that they stay clean.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're not making the deals. And then the other takeaways are exactly what you just said, but I think people need to remember that. And that companies like Gigg help facilitate these things in an ethical way, and everybody wins.
All right, we're done talking about the NIL.
Okay.
Let's talk about cold cereal.
Yes.
Before we get to cold cereal, let's talk about bands. And so you go to Imagine Dragons with your company Gigg, and you say, here's what we can do for you.
Yeah.
Dan Reynolds, who was sidelined with us down at the Arizona game last year, hanging out with Danny Ainge.
He's funny because I can't even tell the story because his first interaction with Danny Ainge, Dan was like dying. He's like, dude, I cannot. I just blabbered some stuff. And so he was kind of fanboying over Danny.
Yeah.
And Ainge is
I'm like, what do you
"What's
do?
up,
Like,
dude?"
and Danny's like kind of like that's Dan. Like they were both fanboying over each other. So it was really
both
funny.
friends. Danny, we go way back with Danny Ainge. Danny and my dad were super good friends.
Yeah.
So Danny's a great friend.
What do you do? When you go to see a band like Imagine Dragons, you say, "Here's what we can do for you. Here's what we need you to do for us."
Yeah.
And they're all like, "Scott, whatever you need."
Yeah, so bands love what it is that Gigg offers because it allows them to interact with their fan base. And so essentially, it's actually, we look to understand what their goals are. And so one of the last campaigns we did with the Dragons, it was they wanted to promote their new single, Wrecked. And Wrecked is a story about, Dan's sister-in-law who passed away of cancer. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to get the word out about this new song, so they used Gigg, or they basically extended an invite to all their followers. Hey guys, we want to create more awareness around cancer. Brandless is the name of the sponsor that sponsored the whole thing and actually gave a percentage of all sales back to Dan's charity. What is it? TRF. I'm trying to remember. It's his foundation. But they extended that invite to all of their followers to cover the song Wrecked. And then they let the general public decide who wins it. And we had millions and millions of people back to the website. So we had hundreds and hundreds of submissions from kids from all over the world covering in a very unique way that song.
How cool is that?
Yeah. And so, and the social reach is incredible because the way that people win these competitions, they have to get their friends and family to come back and vote for them. So they're sharing
awesome.
all over social media. Hey guys, come back and vote for me for a chance to win. I think the winner won like $25,000 and a chance to meet the Imagine Dragons, and so that's kind of how it works. So bands will use the platform to drive awareness around something they're trying to push.
That's awesome.
It's cool.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Before we got sidetracked, tell us how people can get a hold of you.
Yes.
So Scott Warner 18, again, consistent across all social channels. That's my user handle. Everyone should have the same user handle across all social channels, even if you don't get one. I tried to get Scott Warner. The only one I couldn't get on was Instagram, so I had to go Scott Warner 18, which I'm happy with. But I'm telling you, athletes, stay consistent, same user handle across all platforms. You got to do it.
All right, will you come back?
I would love to.
Awesome.
We got to get you. We'll do like a mid-season report.
Yeah, hey, I would love it. BYU is going to win a football national championship before 2030. Did you hear it?
Wow.
You heard it first.
We heard it.
Okay,
we recorded it. It'll be on the podcast tomorrow morning.
In our second hour, Dave Nixon. You know Dave, don't you? Have you
Yeah,
met
no, Dave, of course.
He's coming up here in a minute.
Nixon,
Where is good old
so
Dave?
he's a loser. He's going to do it from home
He's
because
gonna Zoom.
when you
Oh,
live,
He's doing us all
here's
in
the thing.
Draper.
When you live in
Oh,
Draper, there's a lot between us.
Dude, I had to drive from Orem. Like seriously.
Just I want you to know
Across
that,
the river.
Hey, Robbie Bosco told me, I just come in the studio. But Dave has to be in Draper. So
He's a good dude.
no, he's great. We love Dave. And we work a lot of shows with him. But
He's a good dude.
he's going to come on. We're going to so ESPN has this FPI thing. We're not going to tell the folks yet. We're going to get into it about how many wins they predict for BYU based on their FPI formula. It's not as many as people think. What's your over under win total for BYU this year? Leave us with that.
It's 12 games, right? 11 or 12?
12 regular season.
I'm gonna go with 10-2.
10-2 in the regular season, says Scott.
Who do you think we're going to lose to?
I don't want to answer.
Here's the schedule. Here's the schedule in case you.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's easy. I'll tell you, when people ask for this question, it's tough to win all the games, and there's some competitive games on there. There's a lot, actually. But when you look at that schedule with the question, who can't they beat? It's hard to come up with.
They can't
Well,
beat
they're going to be 10-3. Okay, then who are the three teams they can't beat? And then all of a sudden you're like, maybe there's just one they can't beat.
I don't
These
think
others
they
they
can.
could be.
I don't know.
Can't.
Notre Dame is going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
And it's not a neutral
So let
field.
me see this.
Yeah, and
So
this is here.
Notre Dame is going to be.
And these are the FPI percentages that ESPN assigned winning chance.
And we're going to go over those
We're gonna
for
go through
everybody.
them.
I will just tell you that I think we're actually going to surprise and upset some people. I don't think we beat Notre Dame, but I think we beat Baylor. I think we beat Oregon.
I agree with that right there.
I think we're going to lose to one of the lower
Boise
lower
State,
side things.
Utah State
like-
types.
don't sleep on Liberty.
Liberty.
No, I mean the Boise State last year, I still get so angry over that. I can't use that.
Well,
word.
we fumbled 3 times. We gave them 20 points.
Yeah, we served that up. We should have won that game. But I think we're going to have the same issue.
I think they're going to beat Boise State this year because
Yeah,
they're
I
going to
do
play with a
too.
chip on their shoulder. But Arkansas's on that schedule.
Arkansas,
really skilled
Stanford,
and really
yeah,
fast.
yeah.
Stanford's got talent. They just haven't been good the last couple of years. So there's a lot for me that are 50-50. But here's how I feel about BYU right now. And I remember a day, and I like I tell Dave, I don't like to go, hey, when I played. But there's been
Scott,
different.
he likes to say
No, I never say it.
I never heard it.
But there's different teams over different eras at BYU that have been really good year after year. And every one of those teams have the same ingredient, and that is they expect to win every time they walk out on the field. Like when they don't win, they're like, well, that was an aberration. We just didn't do this and this and this. We'll fix that next week.
Yeah.
They just expect when they walk out on that field that they've put in the work and they're good enough and talented enough that they will not lose. And BYU had a couple seasons there with Bronco where they won 11 games.
Right.
You know Austin Colley.
Yeah.
You've worked with Austin. He and Max brought that mentality
so
to that
good,
team.
man.
John Beck's senior year, they had this mentality
good.
that we just don't lose. We just don't do it, right?
Right.
I can take you back to every era when BYU kind of went on a run. I feel like right now they feel that way.
I think they do too.
I feel like they feel like we win. That's what we do.
We're gonna have a great season for one reason in my mind. I think it's our defense. I think our defense, they're gonna come
Surprise
up.
people,
They're
right?
gonna surprise people.
Yep.
Those dudes.
Hey, we give Scott this parting gift.
Yeah.
That is so
Like,
sweet
remember
of
us.
you.
I'm sure
This
you
will
have
be
like
gone.
30 at home. But that's
running
the
low,
one
actually,
from
right
us. That's the
Thank
one
you,
from
guys.
us.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun season. I think Jaron's gonna have a heck of a season.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be a sleeper.
Before it's all said and done, is he a first round draft pick?
Yes, I think he's a first round draft pick.
When's the last
He's
time
healthy,
BYU
sure.
had back-to-back quarterbacks first round draft picks because they had 3
That's
or
been
4 in a
years.
row?
Well, Mark Wilson,
They went.
who's
They
going
went.
to be on the show
They
coming
went
up,
Mark
Jim McMahon.
to Jim, back to Steve. People, they technically don't do Steve.
Because he diverted into the USFL.
And he
Canada.
was the number 1 pick in the USFL draft, which was before the NFL draft. Had Steve not signed with the USFL, he would have been
Top
the number
10.
1 overall pick.
You think so?
Yep. Would have been the number 1 overall pick. So
Really?
he's a first rounder for sure. So
Really?
Yeah, but him and Herschel Walker, right, would
Yep.
have battled
Yeah.
for it.
and running backs, even back then, they don't value as much as they do quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Hey, tell your wife when you left the baseball game to just pick up a drink and got diverted. Just tell her that we
See,
say hello.
I was hanging with Dave
and it
and
went a
Blaine.
little longer than we expected.
I ran
but-
into some old buddies, and I just hung.
Hey, this has been a blast, guys. I really appreciate you having me.
Thank
For
you
real.
for
Glad,
being
glad to have you,
Yes.
Scott. Glad to
Scott
have you.
Warner, CEO of Gigg, heavily involved in NIL at BYU and predicted a BYU national championship before 2030.
Before 2030.
It's happening.
And a 10-2 regular season.
Let's go.